Because we've seen some people get so incredibly nervous before their driver's license restoration hearing that this is the type of advice we try to give them, and this is totally common. It's totally natural. When you're in a driver's license restoration hearing, you're technically not in court, but it very much operates like that. So it's really important that people know what they're going into, before they get there, so they don't make these really, really basic, simple mistakes that blow apart their entire opportunity to get their driver's license back. We see it all the time, and it's one of the main reasons that we really do suggest that people get competent representation in these kind of hearings, because going in with somebody who's experienced in this area really does make all the difference between getting your license back and then having to wait a whole nother year. My name is Keith Stickley with the Stickley Law Firm here in downtown Hillsdale, Michigan. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I often make content trying to explain and break down concepts in plain English so that people understand what it is they are getting themselves into when they're trying to get their driver's license back. When somebody has their driver's license revoked because of a multiple DUI conviction, it really does negatively impact their life. It's so difficult to try to get a job, try to function, try to raise kids, try to be just a regular productive member of society. And we take a lot of pride here in trying to get people through driver's license restoration process. And when we have success with our clients that do this, we really do see a change. We literally see a weight lifted off their shoulders. But today I want to talk about how important the driver's license restoration hearing is, and what you should expect, what people really need to know about it. Because if you're trying to restore your Michigan driver's license after multiple DUI convictions, the hearing, it really is the most important part of the case. And so many people walk into this whole hearing completely unprepared and not knowing what to expect. And I've seen people lose their appeal, not because they're not sober, not because they're not worthy, but simply because they didn't understand how this hearing process actually works. If you've been contemplating getting your driver's license back, you've probably poked around online and looked at the various forms and stuff, and you see that there is a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of time that goes into preparing the packets, if you will. And but the problem is that this process isn't just paperwork. The hearing that's conducted by the hearing officer literally decides, after reviewing these materials, whether or not you get your license back, or if you have to wait, an entire year to try again. So today I want to walk you through sort of exactly what happens at the Michigan driver's license restoration hearing, and some very real mistakes that people make that cost them their case all the time. First, we'll just kind of jump into the basics. What is this hearing actually? We hear about the hearing, but what actually is it? Well, the hearings are sort of a formal process, and they're handled through the Michigan Secretary of State Administrative Hearing Section. And sometimes you're going to hear this referred to as the AHS, or you'll see it on paperwork as referred to as the AHS. Now, the AHS is not technically a court. There's no judges involved, but don't let that fool you, because it functions very much like one. You're going to be in front of a hearing officer, not really a judge, but a hearing officer whose job it is to decide whether you've proven your case under Michigan law as to being, eligible, deserving of getting your driver's license restored. It's so critically important to understand these two critical things, okay? Because everything in your case needs to support these 2 points, all right? And this is really the crux that a lot of people don't understand thoroughly when they start the process. They don't understand what it is the hearing officers are looking for. And primarily it comes down to this. Number one, that your alcohol problem is under control. That's number one. Number two is the alcohol problem that you're dealing with is likely to remain under control moving forward. And we can understand why this is, right? We want to make sure that somebody who has had a past problem with alcohol, isn't currently still, suffering actively, with that kind of a thing. But they want to make sure that it remains under control in the future, because they don't want future accidents. They don't want future, legal, issues. They don't want you to go out and, endanger yourself and other people out in the community while you drive. And bottom line, if the evidence or testimony that comes out as a part of this hearing process doesn't line up with those two things, the driver's license appeal hearing is going to get denied. Now, I want to give you some real world advice that most people really don't think about when they're going into their hearing, but It absolutely matters. And the first thing is, most of these hearings now are done by video. And it's sort of a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing in the fact that you can be virtually anywhere in the state. It's helped us help a lot more people throughout the state of Michigan because we can represent clients all throughout the state, and it's convenient to do so. Back in the day, you sort of had to have an attorney that was somewhat close to you, and there was different regional offices you could go to, to have your hearings. And now you really can choose, sort of the best lawyer, the best attorney that you feel comfortable with if you're going to hire somebody. Or if you're going to try this process alone, you could do it from the comfort, of your own home. And in the rural areas, we find that this has really been a huge godsend to a lot of people who, historically had somewhat limited access. One of the downfalls of that is, it is technology, and technology can be frustrating. So it's so unbelievably imperative to make sure that your technology works. You got to test it ahead of time. If you've done this, if you've filed on your own, you've probably got a packet back saying, when your hearing is going to be, how to log in, and all these kind of things, and what technology, what platform, what video platform they're going to be using for this. And you really want to test it ahead of time if at all possible. I know in the past, and I believe it's still the case, there was even like a test channel. There was a way to test to make sure that your system would actually work. Test it ahead of time. And when I say test it ahead of time, I don't mean like 20 minutes before you're supposed to jump on for your hearing, right? That's one of the things that we really do with all of our clients. We actually test what that platform is going to be if they're not going to be here in our office. And sometimes we actually bring people right into our office, turn the camera on, and then we can have the hearing with them right here. So if they have any questions, that's easy. So we do it either way. It's very, very simple as far as that goes. But bottom line, you want to make sure that your system and that your technology works, that your software is there, that you have good, reliable internet. You're not out in the boondocks, relying on, I think there's a 5G coverage, but there's not. It's just, LTE. Aside from all the technology stuff, a couple of things I have to mention is do not, please do not take this hearing from your car, okay? Don't do this. I've seen it happen. I've heard it happen. Frankly, I even had a client do it. I told him not to, and it blew my mind, right? Don't go into a driver's restoration hearing, even if you aren't driving and you're just sitting in the seat or whatever, but don't do it from the driver's seat of a car, right? When you're not even legally allowed to drive. Just that right there, the mental picture, the impression that it gives is that you are not taking this seriously at all, okay? I can't believe this is something that I actually have to say, but people do it. So do not, jump into your hearing from a vehicle. Then, of course, this is common sense to a lot of people who have had, experience on these video conferencing platforms, but some people just don't get it. Be somewhere quiet, right? No distractions, no background noise. This is your one shot to really make a positive impression, prove the points that have to be made, and get your driver's license back. Along with that, once you log in, you need to sit upright. You got to make sure you have decent lighting, that there's no distractions. You're not walking around. You're not multitasking. You're not, waiting for your hearing to start, but also scrolling on Facebook. If it looks like you're not taking it seriously, that matters. They can sense that. These hearing officers get really frustrated when they're dealing with people who are, asking, for a pretty big ask, that have had a history that shows that there's been a problem. And they need to be convinced and shown that, they are very serious about what they're doing. And they want to be taken seriously. It's a serious process, all right? So make sure it looks like. When it comes to the hearing itself, the hearing officer is going to ask you a bunch of specific questions. And those questions aren't designed to trip you up or fake you out or anything, but they're designed really to test your sobriety story. They're going to ask you questions. When was the last time you drank? What changed in your life? What are you doing currently to stay sober? And what would happen, if you relapsed, and have you relapsed? And again, these aren't trick questions, but they're very specific. And they go to those 2 points I mentioned above. And your answers need to match your substance abuse evaluation and your letters of support. If you are not prepared and your evaluation says one thing, dates especially, and your letters say another thing, you're going to have issues. They're going to either ask follow-up questions and be very, probative, or they're going to deny your hearing. And I've made a couple of other videos. So if you're going through this process and you haven't yet watched it, take a look at our channel and look at the videos on, one of the main reasons that these hearings get denied, because I go into that in some detail. The bottom line, I mean, the biggest, reason that these cases, go wrong and people lose their cases is that their answers that they're giving, don't match the evaluation. There's massive timeline inconsistencies, or they're giving really vague answers, or they're guessing. You know, even people who are genuinely sober, they sometimes lose these things because their case wasn't presented properly. So, don't give an answer if you don't really know what the answer is, but you need to prepare. You need to know, when was the last time you had a drink? When was the last time you were off probation? Sometimes those kind of legal questions come up. So you really need to know your stuff. One of the benefits of having somebody represent you is they sort of, direct the narrative, if you will, right? I can actually ask my clients these questions in a way that, we've prepared them so that everybody is professional and prepared and ready to complete, this hearing. Question we sometimes get asked about as far as the hearing goes are witnesses. And in some cases you can bring a witness, but that really does need to be done strategically. It's not always necessary, but if there is going to be witnesses involved, they have to support sobriety and they must be consistent. If they hurt your case, they can actually make things worse. I've had hearings where a spouse was brought in, and luckily we were able to, prepare that spouse of what to expect. And I've had a couple of cases where the spouse wanted to give input, but in dealing with and prepping my clients, for this process, I knew that, it was no fault of the spouse or whatever, but they just didn't present well, and they maybe got really nervous and couldn't remember timelines and things. And so if it didn't help the actual case that we were talking about, that it was better just to not have them. Bottom line, it really comes down to these cases are extremely detail driven. The hearing officer is not guessing. They're comparing your testimony, and your evaluation and your letters line by line, and then they're having, what amounts to testimony with you to make sure that everything meshes and it makes sense to give you this opportunity. And we want to present your case in a way that shows that, hey, you've made substantial changes in your life and that you're no longer a threat to not be sober, and that it just makes sense to give you your driving license back and your driving privileges back. So if you're preparing for a Michigan driver's license restoration hearing and this process makes you, even a little bit nervous, you just got to know that's normal, right? I get it. These cases are technical, but how your case is presented really does make all the difference. I put together a free checklist about the documents that you need before, filing a Michigan license restoration appeal, and including, kind of the evaluation and the letters of support and what's needed for that stuff. There's a link to it. It's totally free. The link is in the description. And if you want help preparing your case, the right office handles license restoration appeals throughout the state of Michigan. So hopefully that answers some of the main general questions about what to expect in a hearing and how to make sure your hearing goes well and what you really need to do to prepare for your hearing. If you or somebody that you care about is trying to go through this process, make sure to poke around our channel, because I've made a bunch of other content specifically on the Michigan driver's license restoration process. Of course, if you're looking for a law firm to help you out with the process, give us a call here. Our contact information is probably here on the channel or wherever you're watching this video. And we'd be more than happy to have a conversation, a consultation, make sure that you are, eligible, and kind of let you know how we can work together, to get your license back. Of course, don't forget to download the free license restoration checklist. And again, the links are on the description below or probably wherever you're watching this video. That's it for today. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you real soon.